Hey, what's happening, nation? It's Joku. We're doing the positional matchups tonight. I really enjoyed making this video last week, and you guys seemed to like it, so I was excited as shit to be able to do it again. Raiders versus Bears, we're going to go positional group by positional group, see who has the better one, see how we match up, and see who ends up having the advantage for this game. And then at the end, I'll go ahead and put my final score prediction out there. I know tonight is supposed to be Fan Friday, but I have been working my ass off, and that just kind of is what it is. I also understand that Gruden stepped into a huge pile of shit. I do not want to comment on any of that until I see the full reports and everything that does come out. So we are keeping it strictly football, and that is the way that I love it. And I probably won't even talk about that other shit, to be completely honest with you, because I do this for no other reason than the love of this team. So we're not going to waste too much time. We're going to go ahead and jump into it. If you are new to the channel, if you think about subscribing, I really would appreciate that. It really does help me out and keep me growing. But we're going to start with that quarterback room. It's Derek Carr versus Justin Fields. This is pretty much an obvious advantage to the Raiders. Fields has gotten a little bit of play time, but he is still yet to break that 400-yard mark as far as total passing. If we still had Paul Guenther as our defensive coordinator, I'd be scared as shit because he had a knack for making shitty quarterbacks look like superstars. I think Gus Bradley's going to be in this kid's head by the end of the first quarter. I'm expecting some decent turnovers, and I'm expecting really good field position in this game. Derek Carr and Gruden are going to bounce back, and they're going to end up putting together something that works incredibly well against this Bears squad. Let me go ahead and move this error up real quick. Before I do, all you dudes that have been loving on Carr for the past 3 weeks and saying that he's the GOAT and the MVP, and all of a sudden you've turned your back on him and he's the worst quarterback and we all knew this shit was going to happen, dude, go find a new team, because that shit is not what a fan base is supposed to do. You got to support your man. It's a 17-game season this year. You're going to lose some games. Don't shit on your whole team after you're 3-1. Still looking like a fucking powerhouse. That shit drives me insane. Advantage Raiders. Moving into that running back room, they're starting Damian Williams. They have Herbert behind him. And then they ended up activating some kid off their practice squad. Honestly, if Montgomery was playing in this game, I would kind of be 50-50 torn on who had the advantage through this, just because Josh Jacobs coming off an injury. Kenyon Drake has been more in the passing game, not the rushing game. And then Barber's questionable. You could tell Josh Jacobs was not 100% last week, but I think he is getting better, and I think he was testing some things just to see how it felt last week. I'm expecting a big bounce back game from him and this offense. This is the 1-2 punch I've been talking about all through the offseason, so I'd really like to see it play out. Definitely the advantage Raiders. Moving to that wide receiver room, they have Robinson, they have Mooney, Marquise Goodwin. It is honestly a pretty legitimate wide receiver room. I understand they don't have a quarterback that can throw them the ball. If Fields gets comfortable or he starts to get into a little bit of a zone, you have to watch out for all three of those dudes, because they can totally make you pay throughout the distance of a game. And with Trayvon and David Arnett both out of this game, it sucks, man. But any wide receiver room that has Allen Robinson as your number one gets pushed up on that notch a little bit higher. On our side of the ball, we all know what we have, so I'm not going to sit here and break all these guys down. I do want to mention Hunter Renfrow, just because I did not put him on my good list in the good and the bad and the ugly video that I did a few days ago. So many of you guys were so pissed off about that. I had an entire video dedicated to Hunter Renfrow. I showed a few clips in it, and it kept getting copyrighted, and I caught some shit for that in the past, so I did not want to have to deal with it again. So I just kind of had to let that video ride. It's the only reason he was not on the good list, is because that thing was honestly cool as shit. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. I was not able to upload it to YouTube. I know I talked about the other day how Henry Ruggs is starting to get a little bit of a rapport with Carr. He's starting to take some chances with him. I want to see that happen more. I want to see Brian Edwards work more into this offense more frequently earlier in the games. I think it would really back some defenses off of us, and I think it would really help out Josh Jacobs, especially coming off the injury. And I understand that Derek Carr has passed for a shit ton of yards throughout this season. Still have to go ahead and give the nod to the Bears on this one, as much as I hate to say it. I think as our young wide receiver room continues to gel and continues to grow with Carr, they are going to start taking over this check mark in the future. But as of right now, I just need to see more. I just need to see more consistency, and I need to see them worked in just more regularly throughout a game. So sadly, advantage Bears. Moving on to that tight end room, I'm going to do this extremely fast. Advantage Raiders. We have one of the most elite tight end rooms in football. I know Carrier's not going to be playing in this game, but I'm really excited to see more out of Bowers. I think you're going to see him worked into rotations. You will definitely see him on the field come Sunday. We're starting Komet and Jimmy Graham. Jesse James is out for this game. Holtz is out for this game. They're really depleted at that tight end room. This was a real obvious one for me to put up. I know last week I said the Chargers tight ends weren't going to do shit against us, and they both ended up putting up touchdowns. That was just the way that game ended up working out for us. It was pretty much a true shit show from start to finish. But I think you see our defense respond to that. Fields is going to rely heavily on his tight ends, but if we can take that away and we have the pass rush coming, it's going to be an extremely long day for that kid. Pushing into this offensive line, man, I had such high hopes for this offensive line, and this shit has just crumbled around us. Losing good right at the start of the season for the entire year completely sucked and threw a monkey wrench into everything. Having Richie Incognito be out for the first few weeks and then being on IR instead of bringing in another guard, especially after Good went down, it seemed like that was the move you had to make. But the Raiders just kind of kept pushing through. Mistakes were definitely made in this area. And this week they're talking about moving Leatherwood into that guard spot and bringing Brandon Parker in to play tackle. That shit, just because he's closer to Carr doesn't mean he's not going to jump off sides as much. I really want to see this offensive line unit pull together and just kind of gel as one group. But until I see that shit, they are not getting a check mark anywhere close to their names. And it sucks to say that because I was talking these guys up so much. And I honestly believe if all 5 of our starters were healthy, this offensive line would look completely different. But it's not. And a few of these dudes have completely shit the bed. Advantage Bears on this. I don't think their offensive line is anything special. I don't think they're great, but they're organized and they're healthy. For that reason alone, they end up getting the check mark for this game. Pushing over to the defensive side of the ball, the Bears run a 3-4 defense. Carr historically has struggled against the 3-4 defense, but this 3-4 defense is a little bit banged up right now, and they have not been playing as good as they have in years past, plus their secondary has been a little bit shaky. We'll start with that defensive line room. Akeem Hicks is doubtful for this game. That is a huge blow to this defense. Then they got Goldman and Nichols rounding out that front 3. This defensive line, when healthy, if they're getting the pressure, because they have a tremendous amount of help from that linebacker group, can honestly look really good. But with Hicks being hurt and with how fucking disgusting our defensive line rotation is, these guys have been playing lights out. I don't care what anybody says. A dude like Jefferson, a dude like Phylon, dudes like Solomon Thomas, the free agents that we brought on, all stepping up, all making plays. I knew they would do that shit, man. I've been happy as shit about this defensive line rotation. So many of these guys I have talked up and I've seen other people just completely shit on, and watching them all start to come around is really making me happy because I knew this defensive line was going to be disgusting. This is definitely an advantage to the Raiders. There are very few defensive line rotations that will end up getting this check as long as our rotation keeps playing the way that it does right now. Moving into that linebacker room, much like the Chargers did with Joey Bosa, they took Khalil Mack, they moved into that will linebacker spot, and it's honestly been working out pretty well for him. He is questionable for this game, but from everything that I've read, he should end up playing in it. They also got Roquan Smith, Ogletree, and Quinn playing that Sam. This linebacker room is honestly pretty legitimate throughout the NFL. They have 4 solid-ass linebackers, and with the way those linebackers treated us last week, forcing Bosa to draw that double team and then leaving that inside linebacker with just a straight damn shot at Carr or whoever the running back was, that shit was driving me insane. It seemed like a pretty easy fix. We were not able to make adjustments to it. It really looked like a huge weakness that we have as far as this offensive line is concerned. I think that's why you're seeing some things shuffled around right now. But you have to have respect for these Bear linebackers. As far as we're concerned, Corey Littleton, I think, has been playing exceptionally well. I know you guys gave me some shit after I put him on my good list, but he started to mess up once this defense had been on the field pretty much the entire damn game. I think Littleton has made some huge strides under Gus Bradley. I only expect that to continue and grow with him. And then Perryman's been playing like a damn man possessed. I've been loving every second of seeing him on the field. He's playing through injuries. He's still making big plays for us. My biggest question mark in this defense right now is KJ Wright. Said it right after we signed him onto this team that I thought that dude had lost a step. I've seen it on the field a few weeks in a row now. I think once Mario comes back, you're going to see him take that Sam spot over. Perryman has earned that spot in the middle, and Littleton is playing fucking lights out. I don't care what anybody says. But since we are still beat up in that room, I definitely have to give the advantage to the Bears on this. They have a solid core. Moving into that cornerback room, they have Jalen Johnson, they have Kendall Vildor. They are respectable cornerbacks. They are not anything elite. I'm not expecting either one of those guys to have like a breakout game or anything like that. Neither one of them are true shutdown corners. I think if Carr can get into a rhythm, start working the ball around, he's going to have some pretty easy 5-yard slants and things against these guys. If we were healthy, I would just give this advantage to the Raiders, but we're going to be without Trayvon Mullen. We're going to be without Damon Arnett, which I really don't think is a big deal, but that is just my personal opinion. Sean Nixon still sitting on IR. We are pretty depleted at that cornerback room, but I'm going to go ahead and make a bold prediction right now. I think Amik Robertson plays that outside corner, and I think he turns a hell of a lot of heads in this game. No, I've not been totally high on that kid throughout this offseason, but I'm really excited to see him get a shot, especially after I saw how Damon Arnett played and then how he played versus Mike Williams. I think that kid might have a legitimate shot at earning that third, or I guess fourth cornerback spot on this roster. These injuries that we do have means that Hobbs is going to be on the field, and I am happy as shit about that. I am not going to lie. I'm expecting that kid to actually have a pretty explosive play or two throughout this game. He is due for it. This one was honestly kind of a toss-up for me, but I'm seriously expecting Hobbs and Robertson to have a major impact on this game. I'm giving the advantage to the Raiders, even though we are banged up as shit right now. Finishing out the secondary with that safety groups, they have Gibson Sr., Eddie Jackson. Gibson Sr. is questionable for this game. If he does not play, I'm expecting a pretty big dose of Deion Brown. But Merrick and Abram are completely healthy and both ready for this game. Plus, all the depth behind them is completely healthy and ready for this game. I have to go ahead and give the advantage to the Raiders in this safety room just because Abram's been playing a hell of a lot better. Merrick has been showing flashes, and he's really due for a big-ass play. Teamer is another guy being healthy. We saw little flashes of him last week, but I think you're going to continue to see more and more of him working ahead of Gillespie, working ahead of Dalen Levitt. But I have to give the advantage to the Raiders for this safety room. Nothing more, just based on how healthy we are and how much depth we have behind it. Jumping into special teams real quick, Santos is not as good as Carlson. Pat O'Donnell cannot kick the ball as far as A.J. Cole. I really enjoy our special teams unit. I know a few people got down on Daniel Carlson. I do not understand that. That kid has been a hell of a kicker for us, and he will be our kicker for a long freaking time. I'm super excited to have him on this team. And A.J. Cole, I'm still saying, has an outside shot at making the Pro Bowl at the end of this season. That kid can boom the shit out of a ball and just completely flip the field position. Plus, his accuracy on some of these punts has been truly insane. We're definitely drawing both the check marks for our special teams units. Like I said before, there are kickers in the league I will put above Daniel Carlson. If A.J. Cole keeps playing like he is playing there, I don't know how many punters are going to end up going in front of him. Honestly, expecting the Raiders to take full advantage of this Bears team. We have to set the tone. We have to get back on track. I think the game plan is going to be there. I'm expecting Carr to end up having a huge day. I'm expecting to see Jacobs and Kenyon Drake just kind of worked into this game and being a part of Carr's offense and trying to work the offense through them. I think that was one of the biggest mistakes we made last week, and I do not want to see us do that shit again. But as far as the score prediction goes, I'm going to go ahead and call this thing right now 24-6. I do not think we let them in the house. I think they settle for a couple field goals throughout this game. This game is all about the Raiders getting back on track, getting everybody back in the flow. We clearly have the advantage in this game. There was really no arguing that. I'm expecting this Raiders team to silence a hell of a lot of people that jump ship after one loss. This is the perfect game to do it against. Plus, you get a little bit of extra revenge on Khalil Mack, and I will take that every single time we play them. Until next time, guys, I'm Son Joku. This is what I had for you tonight. I hope you guys did enjoy it. If you can click that like button on your way out, I really would appreciate that. It really does help me out and get this a little bit more views as it starts to grow. Sorry about not being able to do Fan Friday. Time just got away from me. Like I said, it's been a really hectic week. I'll do my damnedest to go live tomorrow night, but no promises. But until next time, guys, thank you so much for checking it out. I really do appreciate it, and we will catch you guys on the next one.